New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Media Network is proud to present Cosmic Prayers, your weekly shift, Mondays at 11 Mountain Time, with your host, Laura Topper. The Cosmic Prayers, live from the UK. And now, here she is, Laura Topper.
Hello, hi, and welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. I'm Laura Topper. I'm so pleased to be here right now, the beginning of the week, Monday at 5 p.m. UK time, wherever you are in the world. Welcome in to this amazing broadcast on New Thought Media Network. We love New Thought Media Network and all of the powerful positivity and wisdom that it spills over into our lives and your life. So if you're watching right now, you've tuned into the Cosmic Prayer. I'm here every week. I just thought I'd begin with a little chime here just to bring us in, and a breath to center us into this time, this blessed time right now that we have. Now, if you are a devoted follower of the Cosmic Prayer, which I am, of course, because I'm here always doing it, most weeks I'm here with a super guest, and they are sharing from their heart their understanding of prayer and their love of prayer. And usually, the guests that come on are either spiritual teachers or guides or artists, creatives, people that have something really to share and understand more deeply about prayer. This week, we have a beautiful space where it's me. I'm here on the Cosmic Prayer. And I think this is the first time that this has happened intentionally in just under a year, because we've been running for almost a year here on New Thought Media Network with this broadcast. So I feel very blessed to be here right now to talk about prayer, to give prayer, and to invite you to join in the conversation here. So if you're here and joining us, Wayne, hi, how are you? Welcome in to the Cosmic Prayer. Great to be here with you. And Diego, welcome, Diego. Diego is our amazing producer here on the Cosmic Prayer and for other shows on New Thought Media Network that he oversees the smooth running of so many of these broadcasts. So great to be here with you, Diego. Great. I'm hoping, yes, things are clearing up here. And I am broadcasting on YouTube and I'm broadcasting on Facebook. So if you're here and watching, welcome in. We're going to talk a little bit. I want to talk about prayer and my idea of prayer and what I love about prayer and why and how prayer is really kind of beneficial and helping me in my life. And the one thing that I know is that when I choose to consciously take that time to pray, I always leave that prayer feeling better, feeling like I am connected. And when I say feeling better, I don't mean that the situation has resolved itself. What I feel better because I know I've deepened my connection. There we go. Deepen my communion with the divine. And in that time, that sacred time, and when I step over into the silence and into that knowing, I feel better because I know then that I've deepened my faith. And that's what I wish and would invite for you, is that have an intention for prayer, not just an intention for a prayer, whether it's for better health or increased prosperity or well-being or world peace or harmony in your family or whatever that is, because we know that our prayer spoken is a prayer answered when we have that conviction. I think for me, it's also having a deeper intention for how for how prayer is showing up in my life. And I think that's a really cool thing to do, and something that I'd really invite for you to set that intention of prayer working, knowing that prayer is working. So here on the Cosmic Prayer, we talk with guests about all sorts of different ways of praying and what prayer really, really means. We've had over the past year, we've had so many amazing, intention of praying is so fun as well. Hi, Facebook user. If you want to leave your name, that would be great, because here on YouTube, on StreamYard, I can't see who you are unless you actually sign up or say who you are. But anyway, if you want to, you're welcome to. Yes, set the intention of what it is you want to feel from that prayer, to experience from that prayer, to know from that prayer. I know that when I pray, when I intentionally sit down, pray, stand up, pray, whatever, wherever I am, either in nature or here at home or wherever, that when I'm doing this with intention, that I know it works, because it's working, because I'm feeling it, and I'm feeling the feeling of that amazing uplift and connection and communion where I have commanded. And that's what Ernest Holmes, the teacher, amazing spiritual metaphysical teacher and guide, he would say, we're praying to have that communion and to command. So we're communing with love, and we're commanding into the law, the creative law that is always, always, always working. It does not have a tea break. It does not have a tea break. I love praying for rain. Here we go. Diego's just given permission for StreamYard to show pictures and names. I love praying for rain, as I enveloped it all around me when Australia was burning last year. It rained and the blessings were abundant. Isn't that amazing? You see, it works, because we set the intention and we then know. We know that we know that we know. So it's the intention and the faith. And I love hearing these demonstrations from you. If you have any more, then share them here. I have so many. I can't even... I'm just trying to think of something right now. Well, when I moved into my new home recently, with Jason, we were really affirming that we have new appliances, new this, new that, new cooker, new fridge. And as we moved in, and we prayed for that. And as we're moving in here, everything was the old things that were here that we moved in with started breaking down. And it was like, oh, wow, our prayers are working, because they were replaced. They were replaced by, they were replaced by our landlords really easily. And this was the effect of our prayer. And that's the other thing, often we think that because we are praying for a certain outcome or an experience, and it may kind of just swivel and shift in the opposite direction, and we think, what on earth is happening? This isn't what I was praying for. And yet we know that when we pray, we set in motion the law, and the law will do what it needs to do. If that means a crumbling down of the old, that's what will happen. And it's our work or our job and our task to stay in that faith that whatever is happening around us is happening for the highest good of what it is that we have set intention for that prayer for. Yeah, and it may look ugly, it may not look pretty, it may not be comfortable. And as a dear spiritual teacher of mine says to me often, Laura, who says it's meant to be comfortable? Who says this revealing, this growing, this knowing, this stepping into the new, this refreshing, who says it's meant to be comfortable? And that is so true, because I don't think I've read anywhere that growth and expansion and change are comfortable. So our job is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and to pray ceasingly, and to know that it is being done. The prayer is working. Diego is still here. It's good to be with you all here today. There is power in our consciousness. Thank you, Diego. Absolutely. We are that consciousness and we are that energy. And when we own that and claim it, we can transform so much for our lives. So much for our lives. And I love this. Thank you, Wayne, for reminding us that we think that we're individual. We think that we are doing this on our own, and we're not. We're one. We're one with Source, where there's no separation between anything, between any of us, between any of it. We are one as it all. I read something really powerful the other day about practicing a meditation, where in that meditation, we have this opportunity to delabel everything. Just take the labeling off. If it's a tree, if it's a table, if it's the floor, if it's the sky, to take away the labeling in our minds and meditate upon it all as one substance, one stuff. Because it's us that place the meaning upon it all. So I've been doing that, and it's amazing, because I know that. I know it in my head, I know it in my heart. And yet we need to be reminded and to do these practices that bring us closer to the knowing of who we are as truth, so that we get that real direct experience for our lives. Because in that direct experience, we then prove it to ourselves. And that's where the faith comes in. There we go. Thank you for being here, all of you. I love the power of being one. Yes, this is amazing. You know, we are one, and we can't deny that. We can't deny it, and we can't get away from it. We can't run away from it. I thought it would be, I would like to just present this book to you. It's called The 5 Steps to Freedom. If any of you have seen this or read this, or it's in your awareness and you haven't read it or picked it up, then check it out. It's by John Waterhouse, Dr. John Waterhouse, Dr. Reverend John Waterhouse, who I'm going to invite onto the Cosmic Prayer. Can we affirm that Dr. John Waterhouse will be on the Cosmic Prayer very soon to work through this book with us? And I just was looking through it as I do sometimes. It's good to go through our books and not just to think that they're stacked on the bookshelf just to look good, so that we look intelligent. The thing is to actually pick them up again and read them. So that's what I've been doing. Looking at those huge piles of books and thinking, yeah, I'm going to pick them up again. And this is the one that I was drawn to for today, obviously, because it's all about prayer. And these 5 steps that we proclaim, these 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, whatever it is that you prefer to call it. It really isn't about the name of it. You simply call it prayer, call it connection, call it that communion with the divine. It's whatever it is for you. And it's a 5-step process that allows us to get closer and closer and closer in our hearts and in our minds to who we are, to who God is, to what God is, who we are, and what it is we're realizing. So the 5 steps are: God is. Okay, let's kind of bypass the word God even at the moment. The divine is, because I know there's such heavy duty for a lot of us around the word God. And I want to kind of diminish that now, to kind of take that heaviness away and come to this place of knowing that it is all source, it is all the divine, it is all an infinite intelligence. We can see it as this and know it as this infinite intelligence. So the infinite intelligence it is everything, it is everywhere. It is all of this experience of this expression of life. It is consciousness and it is energy. And that is the first part of a spiritual mind treatment. However, I have skipped one very important part that is really necessary, and that is to claim our purpose, to claim the purpose of the prayer. We're called to state what it is we're praying for, what it is we want to change, transform, experience, alchemize, what it is we want to have, what it is we want to dissolve. This is what we're called to do at the very, very beginning of our prayer. And if we're not doing this, we're not actually going into prayer with that intention. So as I don't have the name, but you put out here, yes, the intention is so powerful and important. Well, we do this at the very beginning. We set the purpose. That's setting the intention. Ernest Holmes wrote all of his works in the early 1900s, early 1900s, and so his use of language was very different to how we would speak or define things or explain things now in 2021. So when he says purpose, we can say, let's set an intention here for this prayer. So we take a few moments and we get clear on what it is that we are praying for, what it is that we want, what we're doing this for. Diego. Thank you, Diego, for 5 steps to freedom. Oh, thank you, Diego. There we go. You put the actual link in. I love it. Brilliant. I'm going to keep that up now. So we state our intention. We know what it is. And then that's what we go into the process of prayer with that knowing. And that gives us the confidence to continue in our spiritual mind treatment. So once you've done that, if you want to right now and you have a piece of paper or a journal and you'd like to do that, write down what it is that you'd like to pray for or on. And then we can do this here right now in the cosmic prayer today. We can do this together. So write it down, what it is in your heart that you'd like to see a shift or a change or a transformation for your life. Write it in your journal. Let's take this cosmic prayer as a practice for this right now. The second part, well, it's really the first part. What we would say is the first part after that setting intention is to know this divine intelligence as the one and only thing that is happening. This source, this love, if you want to call it love, is spirit that is happening as and through everything. It is the one power and the one presence that is this divine intelligence. It is back of everything. It is behind everything. So really, it's the cause of everything. It's not the effect. We're communing with the thing itself, as Ernest Holmes called it, the thing itself. We're communing with God. We're communing with the idea that is the idea of the idea, So we need to get comfortable and cozy with that. And we need to build our rapport and relationship with that, with conviction and with faith. And to build that faith muscle, knowing that spirit is who we are and spirit loves us. So we really, really set that knowing in the very first instance. This divine intelligence is everywhere, as everything, as all goodness, all loving, all peace, all harmony. It is the wholeness, perfection, completeness of this experience of life. It is consciousness. It is energy. And it is the manifestation. It is manifesting itself. And that's what we are praying into. So as, love is the source. There we go. And Wayne's saying it's safe to be who I am. We can pray on that, definitely. And here in this place of recognition, because we're recognizing this source of love. And we know that spirit is omnipotent, all powerful. God is, the omnipotence of spirit is not a challenge or a limitation to our lives. Rather, it's a unifying principle that demonstrates the magnificence of life. So what that means for me is that we are praying with the infinite. We're not praying with a limited, finite version of. We are the limitation. You know, we're the human finite. We have the small mind. We have the narrowed perspective and the narrowed perception of what life is. When we're praying into God, we're praying into the infinite. So there are, you know, we're praying into the fullest potential, the highest potential of all possibilities. Wow. So anything is possible and everything is possible in that infinite, in the infinite. So we're getting out of our own way, we're getting out of our small-mindedness, because we might believe that what we're praying for is impossible. How could that ever happen? Well, it's impossible to the degree that we believe it's impossible. And it's possible to the degree that we let go and that we let the divine step in and do its thing. So we are communing with the infinite. And that is step one, where we get really comfortable with that. We open our hearts, we open our minds, and then we realize that this infinite intelligence that is omnipresent, that is the allness and the wholeness and the completeness of everything, it's got to be me. Because if it is everything, then I am it too. I am its essence. Its essence is me and you, because there is no escaping from the one. This one mind is everything and everywhere. How can we get out of it? We can't. We can't actually run away from it, because we're in it and we are it. We're the center and the circumference of it. And so I am, to a degree, that infinite expression, to the degree that I choose to see myself as that. And so are you. And so are you. This is not a one person has it and someone else doesn't. We each have the capacity to know this for ourselves and to open up to the greater expression of this divine source, this infinite expression that we are. We each have this. It's amazing, isn't it? It's so exciting. This is prayer time with Laura. The thing is, we've got to use it. We've got to use this knowing and put our prayer into practice and actually pray to do these spiritual mind treatments, to commit to the time that it takes, to commit to our own spiritual development. It takes that yes from us, to sit in the silence and to say yes to actually doing this and being a part of this for ourselves, for the betterment of our own lives. So that is step one. Here we go. Diego, I am that I am, just like you. Thank you, Diego. Yes, you are. Absolutely. So the other part of this I just would like to say before I move on to the next step is neutralizing judgment. He talks here about, as we begin to embrace the notion that all things exist within the oneness of spirit, we realize that our crotchety neighbor is a perfect outpicturing of that same spirit. So there we go. Our task is to know this too is God expressing, and to look at everything that we think isn't right, or we don't like, or we judge in some way, and accept it in our hearts as God too, as this divine expression too. So as we do that, and we come into the next part, which is step two, where we are uniting, unification and identification, where we actually unify ourselves with this. We get even closer. We get even closer. I'm really called to just do this again, just as we move into the next. Just and take a breath here, because, you know, these 5 steps are really powerful. And I honor you for being here and listening to this so far and working through this. These 5 steps are our 5 steps to freedom. So we're unifying in this next step. That means that we are knowing ourselves as this divine intelligence. There's no separation here. And this can be quite scary. You know, this can be like, oh, wow, how can I think that I am God? You know, that also might seem narcissistic, or, you know, that it's kind of a big thing to say. Well, we're not saying, oh, I am God and it's all in me. What we're saying is, you know, that I have that capacity to be the higher qualities of God and to express those qualities in the highest way that I can. I have that capacity to express the principles and the qualities of God in the highest way that I can. So do I want to open up and be that fuller expression and enjoy and experience? Or do I want to close down and shut off from who I know that I truly am and not express myself to the fullest? Here we have a choice in this place, this unification stage, step 2, to open. And what we're also being asked to do here is to check our mental equivalent. Now, Ernest Holmes talks about mental equivalent as being, you know, this limitation that we place on ourselves in the way that we think and believe about our lives. And if our mental equivalent is high, then we are more open to accepting and receiving the good that is here. And so often we are given messages, and we choose to continue with that messaging through our childhood, into our teens, into our young adult life, into older age, you know, and until there's an aha moment, or we deepen our spiritual practice and we realize that we can lift out of the limitation that the limit and lack, you know, that we've been keeping ourselves in bondage with these thoughts and beliefs that don't belong anymore. So we can check our mental equivalent. You know, where are we? What do we believe? What do we believe about all these topics in life? You know, what do we believe about money? What do we believe about health? What do we believe about relationships? What do we believe about family? What do we believe about religion, spirituality, about how we should live, about what size home we should have, how much money we need, all of these things? It's up to us to question those and to open up and to release ourselves from the limitations that we choose to continue to believe in our conscious mind and often in our subconscious, where we don't have direct access, and yet we can see our lives and see the fullness of our lives, to see what our true thoughts are and beliefs are. So in this place, unification, we're being invited to open up, to see who we are, to know who we are, and to have an even deeper communion with this divine, infinite intelligence that I know of as God, the creator, the idea. I'm just looking up here in my tried and tested, because that's the other thing about prayer, is that it does become an experiment. You know, we kind of want to experiment to see if it really does work. And if it does work, then we know it's working. If we have a demonstration for our lives, then we know it's working. So in that unification step, we are getting closer, even closer to knowing the truth of who we are. If you're here with me, still here, you're on New Thought Media Network. This is amazing that you're here. The Cosmic Prayer today, coming at you from the UK, live in the UK. And I'm walking us through this beautiful book that was written by John Waterhouse, Dr. Reverend John Waterhouse, who I'm affirming is going to be here on the Cosmic Prayer. So we're going to move into the next step for our spiritual mind treatment. And that is where we realize and declare. Now, it's often been said to me that that if we really, really get steps 1 and 2 and really feel them, because the whole key here is to get into this feeling mode of conviction, where we really feel by the end of that stage 2 that we're so connected, so united, so knowing of the love that we are, the love, and that we are loved and that we are safe. And as Wayne said it here earlier, I am safe. By the end of that step, we want to be in that place of conviction in our hearts where we feel that love. It's like, oh, there's an overflowing of it, of who I am, and I'm safe in this place. Now, really, if we've got that right, and we know that we are the love and the health and the prosperity and the well-being, if we're kind of really like in there with that, then we may not even need to go any further. We may not even need to go to the next step, which is the realization step. We could say thank you and we're grateful right there, because we've come to this place where we know that everything is good. And yet, often we want to go further, because that in the next step, the third, is where we're realizing the truth, and we're realizing all of the goodness, we're realizing the infinite, and we're realizing the availability of it all for us right now. And that if we are seeded with the idea of it in our minds of what it is that we want, that we know that it's here. And so we're realizing that it's already done. It's already here. It's already an idea in the mind of the divine. And if we've caught the idea of it, so we materialize it, we allow it to come through into our experience of life. And what that really means is that we're seeing life through a different filter. So we're opening up to another perception of life where we are ready to accept, receive, and allow this thing, this experience to show up. Now, this thing that we are looking and seeking for is already here. It's already here. It's in our it's in consciousness. We may not be aware of it yet. So if it's something that you're asking for, that if it's health, for example, or if it's I don't know, I'm going to give you an example. A friend of mine, she wanted a sewing machine, and she's really good at this affirmative prayer. And believe me, she put it out on Facebook a few weeks ago that she was really, really wanted a sewing machine, a brand new sewing machine. And the next day on Facebook, and she prayed, she used this form of spiritual mind treatment. And the next day she posted on Facebook saying, yay, I've got the sewing machine. That's incredible, isn't it? Because she believed that it was here and that it would come into her experience. She believed, and she was given. She saw it. She caught the vision, and she knew it. She knew, and she knew, and she knew, and it showed up for her. And this is what affirmative prayer does. It kind of washes away the grit, that it polishes the diamond. It shows us that we can have that faith and that belief in knowing that it's already here, and it's in our experience if we open up and say yes to receiving it. So it's a powerful step here. And I'm going to read this from here. We use spiritual mind treatment, page 37, to move our creative process out of a subconscious automatic reaction to life and into a conscious and intentional interaction with life. So here in this phase is where we're getting intentional with what it is that we are declaring, that we want to experience. So we're affirming it here, and we're realizing it. The purpose of step 3 is to know, if we're seeking to resolve a financial issue, step 3 may be to know that we live in an abundant and prosperous world where we have plenty of money, and for us to do whatever we desire, because this is the truth about me. It's the truth about you. So in this step, we're realizing it, we're knowing the truth. So it's not only about realizing that experience that we want exists already. It's realizing the knowing of the truth of who we are. Whoa. It's realizing the truth of the knowing of the truth of who we are. And when we're working on that, we're automatically and instantaneously opening up to the infinite, which is love. So that is step 3. And it does say here on page 41, the very moment that you have a thought, the creative process has already begun. In the same way a thought is created, the physical world is created. So I'd like to get a little bit clearer with this. Yes, we can see the diagram that he has drawn here. This is the metaphysical, very simplified chart of the metaphysical process that Ernest Holmes had it been inspired with, that spirit comes down through the law and then is in form, in body. And yet when he uses the word thought, I think I would like to also put /intention. It's, the creative law is responding to our intentions, not only to our beliefs, but to our feelings. Because it's one thing to say we want something, or we deserve something, or we desire something, or we want to experience something. It's one thing saying it and thinking it, and another thing feeling that we don't deserve it, or that will never happen, or how could that happen for me, or I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or it doesn't exist, or I'm not that kind of person who could ever have that because that's for that kind of person. Then we're in a house divided. So my whole thing is, being in alignment. We have to be clear with our thinking, with our feelings, with our intentions, with our attitude, with our behaviors, our actions. We have to be fully aligned for the prayer to be aligned within us to go, yep, it's there. It pops into our experience because we've opened up and aligned to what it is that we know we are ready to receive. So check yourself. When you're in prayer and you know that it's something that you desire for your life, 5 minutes after that, when you're getting on with your daily stuff, are you then questioning it? Are you then digging it up in your mind and saying, well, that's never going to happen? What's the self-talk that's coming through? What are those thoughts? What are your feelings? Do you go into a dense feeling that, sluggish of, it's just not going to happen? Or are you staying lifted in the knowing that the divine is working always? As I said before, 24/7, it's non-stop. And so are you remaining lifted in that knowing? Because that's where we have this self-responsibility to stay in that place of knowing it's being done, regardless of how long it's taking. It's not our job to unpick it and try and work out how it's happening and manipulate it through experience, through the effect. Our job is to know it's being done and to deepen our faith in that. That's the realization, and that's a continued realization when we step out of prayer and we're in our day-to-day experience of life. Staying in the knowing that the prayer is answered. Yes, it's done. Yes, it's done. Yes, it's done. Whew. So that's step 3. And we move into step 4, where it's very simple. It's like a natural gratitude. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate knowing that this demonstration is already done. In the mind of God, it's done. In the mind of the divine, it's done. I'm not having to force it, and I take inspired action because I'm going to get little inspirations or big inspirations as to what to do or who to call or what to check out online, or I will be guided, or what book to pick up, or we are then guided to take those steps. As Ernest Holmes said, always treat and move your feet. Treat and move your feet. That means it's being done in consciousness and there's action to take. And yet it's always inspired action. It's not running around for the sake of it action, thinking that we have to keep ourselves busy or do stuff that really is just for the sake of it. No, this is inspired action. This is where we're in meditation or contemplation, and there'll be an idea that comes through in relation to this treatment, and it'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to make that call to that person, or send that email, or check out this website, or whatever it is. We are then guided because, of course, spirit is moving and working through us. It's not static. It's not static at all. The whole thing is a movement. And so we are being called upon to be that movement in consciousness. And that means that we're open to the ideas that come through. We're open to receiving those ideas. And that's the prayer in action. And that's when we're praying right. You know, when we're actually being responsible, responding to what it is we're hearing, listening, receiving, whether that's in something someone might say, or a sign that comes up as you're walking along the street, and there's a big sign that just says something. It's like, oh my gosh, that was put there for me. All of this is God in action. All of this is spirit coming through, showing us and telling us when we least expect it. So we're to take notice, and that's taking notice of and putting the prayer, moving our feet, and being the ones that are responsible here. So that's the fourth step. I didn't do a little chime. And then the fifth, and I believe the most important here, is the letting go. Now, we know that there is nothing outside of God. God is everything. God is the one. It is everything. So by letting go, it doesn't mean that we are letting go, because we can't let go of anything really, because God is everywhere. What we're doing is letting go of responsibility for thinking that we have to make this happen. We're letting go of the control, if you like, of being the human that thinks that in a spiritual way we're making it happen, and we're conniving and finding ways of manipulating. We're letting God, and we're allowing God to bring this prayer through. And that is the letting go. It's a release. We can't let it go fully, because there's nowhere for it to go outside of anything, because God is everything and everywhere. So we're letting go of the control that we think that we need. And we're allowing God to do it. We're allowing God to show up in its divinity as love, and to seed this prayer, these words that have been spoken into the law, where it is being grown and rooted, and it will flourish, and it will flower and blossom and bloom into the experience of what it is that we are praying on. Now, one thing that I want to just make clear here that I omitted, that I really want to say here. The reason that we state the purpose in the very, very, very beginning is because that's what we are praying for in that realization step, when we realize and we're stating what it is that we're claiming for our lives. So we tie it back to that place. So this prayer is very powerful, and this practice is very powerful. And I'm asking you this question right now, do you pray? And there's no pressure here from me, because we're all doing what we're doing at to the degree that we choose to say yes. And would you be willing in this invitation to pray using this process, spiritual mind treatment, which if you go online, I'm sure you can find it written out in online, Ernest Holmes Spiritual Mind Treatment, and to pray every morning and pray every evening, twice a day, and take charge of your prayer practice. Really grow into it and love it and embrace it and embody it, and use it as an amazing tool for transforming the way that you experience life. Because when you're doing this, what you're really doing is changing your use of consciousness. You're transforming the way that you see life, the way that you know God. the way that you know this divine infinite intelligence. And as we do that step by step, we open up to a greater experience of the divine. So we kind of we're saying, yes, this is me too. I'm here and ready to experience all of this. And I'm opening up through this practice of spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. We're declaring what we know already. We're declaring that because we know that that is the divine. That is the divine. So if we're stating in the realization for better health, we know that as spirit, we are perfect, whole, and complete. And there's no messing with that. And so we release the idea of any disease or illness or any sense where there's no well-being or vitality. We're letting that, we're coming back to the truth. We're dispelling those ideas, those beliefs that maybe we've held on to, sometimes for years, sometimes for a long, long, long time. So it's really important to do belief work. It's really important to come to that place of letting go of all beliefs and living in that intention of love, opening our hearts to love and practicing that for our lives. And that, I believe, is the beauty of prayer. It gives us a direct opportunity to live a more fulfilled and more meaningful life. If you're here and you're watching and you'd like to leave a message, please do so. It would be great if you would like anything in particular, because I'm going to proceed now with a spiritual mind treatment. And so if there is anything you would like held in that treatment, please write it in here, in the comments, in the chat. Write in your request here for your cosmic prayer, because that's what we're here for. I'm Laura. You are on New Thought Media Network. This is the Cosmic Prayer, and I'm here showing up on my own today to talk about the process of prayer and what I love about prayer, and just relaying some of the deep, jeweled insights from 5 Steps to Freedom with Dr. Reverend John Waterhouse, who I'm affirming will be on the Cosmic Prayer very soon. And if you don't know already, that on August the 9th this year, it will be a year of the Cosmic Prayer being here on New Thought Media Network. I'm just so grateful to I'm grateful to Reverend Robert, who said yes to the Cosmic Prayer being here on this amazing network. I'm so grateful to you, Diego, for producing this show and giving it that edge every week, making sure everything's running smoothly, and the technology and all of the banners that are going across. Such a huge hug, Diego, for all of that, what you do here. Also with other programs here on New Thought Media Network as producer and bringing Spirit Says Sing to the network. And I'm just so grateful to every single person that has watched and viewed and listened, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or a podcast or on my YouTube or my Facebook, wherever you found the Cosmic Prayer. I'm just feeling so grateful that over this year, even one sentence may have shifted the way that you perceive prayer as a practice for your life, because very often that's all it takes is one sentence or a few words from somebody, and it's like, wow. That's just completely done it for me. Terry, yes, Terry Poole Choice. I would love you to come onto the Cosmic Prayer. It would be a blessing for you to come onto the Cosmic Prayer. Terry has an amazing show on New Thought Radio, and she brings so much of her joy and love to New Thought Media Network and her radio show that happens weekly. So Terry, we're going to connect, because I'd love for you to come onto the Cosmic Prayer and share your love to the world here on this show. That'll be fun. And so if there is anything in particular that anybody would like held in prayer now, let's take this opportunity just to type it in, because I'm going to I'm going to say a spiritual mind treatment. And I'm going to say, and my spiritual mind treatment for right now is, I'm just overwhelmingly grateful for the well-being and the joy and the peace and the harmony that I know is the truth of this experience of life, of each of our experiences of this life. So that's what I'm setting my purpose and intention for right now. If there's anything else that you'd like added in, then please do pop it into the comments now before I begin, because I'm going to close my eyes in a second. And if not, then let's begin our prayer with another chime here. And I'm inviting you, if you can hear the seagulls in the background, then lucky you. I'm inviting you. Oh, Terry, here we go. Prayer, please, for the people in the world who are experiencing floods and fires. Absolutely. That's another thing, you know. I think it's so vital. And thank you for posting this here, Terry, because we're not doing a spiritual bypass. We're not turning our back on things and saying they don't exist. You know, it exists. We're experiencing it. We're going through the stuff of this life. And it is not easy. And it is not easy to witness it in others when they're going through it also. And to stand in that truth of knowing that the divine is here as all goodness and all love. And then we question, well, how can it be so? How can it be so if this is happening? Or if that's happening? Or if that disaster has happened? Or people are dying? Or people are suffering? How can this God be good? And yet we have to know that it's not that we're asking for those experiences to change. It's our perception of. That's what the prayer is doing. It's changing how we see it and feel it in consciousness, so that we can see and know love for everybody. That it's not just me or someone else or you that is experiencing this love. That we can all open our hearts to the knowing of this love. And that's what prayer is doing, especially when we say a prayer for others. We are asking in that prayer, or we're knowing in that prayer, that this love, just like the sun shines on all of us and the rain rains on all of us, this love pours on all of us. And that's what prayer is doing. So we're going to do that now. And we're praying for everybody for that, especially those who are experiencing this seeming trauma and maybe panic and maybe feeling uprooted from their lives. So let's go into prayer. I'm inviting us each to close our eyes and take a breath. As we're here on this cosmic prayer broadcast, united as one, heart to heart, I know that this prayer for well-being, for joy, for peace, for the knowing of love and goodness and well-being for everybody on this planet, for those that are experiencing upset and trauma and displacement in their homes, maybe through fire or through flood, that this prayer is here to know the love for every single sentient being on this planet. And this we do together. Because I know that there is one mind, this one infinite intelligence that is both love and law, that is the power and the presence. And this infinite intelligence is inexhaustible and it's changeless. It is the one thing I rely on, I know as truth, as the foundation is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. It is the idea of all of life. And that includes everything. Everything. From the multiverses all the way down to the one-celled living organism. And even smaller than that. This is the divine expressing. Whew, and as I breathe that and know that with gratitude, I unify because I know that this is true of me. I am included in this. We each are. We're a part of this wholeness, and we are whole within ourselves. And this divine intelligence is expressing through me, through you, through everybody here on New Thought Media Network, everybody watching, through every presenter that presents here, through everybody that is doing everything to do with technology here, through Diego producing the shows, Reverend Robert, who had the divine idea of this network, and for each of us that are here now and present to know the truth of who we are. So as I unify with this, I open my heart, I open my mind to this divine infinite intelligence that is flooding through each of us right now. And I realize that we are each here as this light of love, of well-being, of joy, of health, of potentialized possibilities, and that each of us are a point of consciousness in momentum. And that each of us are the divine idea of the divine, of God. And I know that as the divine works through each of us and that we open up to knowing who we are, that we say yes. We say yes to being that greater expression of wholeness, of joy, of love, of peace, of harmony. And I see that for each of us, as we may believe on some level that our lives are shattered, that our lives aren't working to the degree that we think they should, that our lives have been complicated, that there are complexities, possibly letdowns and disappointments, maybe with the way that we're living or how we're living. I know that in the mind of God, there is perfection, there is wholeness and completeness, and that for every seeming breakdown, there is a breakthrough and there is a solution and there is an answer. And so I know and see that for those whose lives seem shattered at this time, maybe whether it's through natural disaster or through relationship breakdown or financial or whatever reason it may be, I know there is a solution in the mind of God. And I know that as we each open up to allowing this solution to become the guidance for our lives, that we know this is true for everybody here on this planet, that we are all imbued with this intelligence, with this wisdom, and that we each say yes and yes and yes to knowing this wholeness for ourselves and for every being on this planet. We work together as one. I see this happening more and more and more. Just as New Thought Media Network is here to bring people together to commune all over the world, people may think that they find this platform, this ministry, randomly or by chance, and that is not truth. We find things like this as we open up and say yes in our prayers, in our lives, in our hearts. And that is what we are doing right now. We are opening up more fully to more of this yes, to more of this greatness, this goodness, this love and beauty and joy and money and finance and prosperity and wealth and health. This is all here for us right now. As I breathe this in, I say thank you. I say thank you for these demonstrations that are happening right now of goodness. I say thank you for this technology, for this ministry. Thank you to you for being here. Thank you for the divine, for opening my heart, your heart, and knowing that this is done as I release. I let go of my word. I let my word free into that creative law that is non-stop and forever seeding and growing. The word, my word and your word. And I know that right now my word is spoken, said and done, planted and seeded and blossoming. And for this I let go and I give thanks again. And I know that wherever you are here to join me right now as we say together, and so it is. Yes. And I'm going to open my eyes and bless you for being here and for joining and for saying yes. There we go. Thank you, Wayne, for being here. Terry, Diego, and anybody else has joined us here today on the Cosmic Prayer. Yes, you are enough, Wayne, absolutely. As we all are, as we each are enough, 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 as we each are the idea of God. So it's been over an hour, and I thought this would be like a 30-minute broadcast as there was no guest, and I've managed to talk all my way through this for an hour. Well, if you missed some of it, you can go back. It's been great, and what a beautiful experience to be here right now on the Cosmic Prayer on New Thought Media Network. Now, I'd like to just also say and to let you know that New Thought Media Network has a prayer ministry. And you can see it there, prayer@ntmedia.org. If you feel that you are in need of prayer for something specific, then do not hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out to this ministry, because that's what we're here for. We're a vibrant prayer team. We love receiving your prayers, and we love knowing what it is that you are seeking for prayer, whether it's for you or for a loved one. We're here as practitioners to put your prayer into practice. So we're here as that foundation for you. Reach out. You can email there, New Thought Media Network, prayer@newthoughtmedianetwork.org. You can support this network here. I've just put that up, show that. You can support this network, newthoughtmedia.org. You can donate. And your donation is not a donation to kind of like, oh, well, we'll keep them going. This ministry is rocking and it's going, and there's so much here, so many beautiful broadcasts and presenters and practitioners and ministers and thought leaders and spiritual teachers that are here because of their passion, because of our passion to share all of these teachings with you, wherever we are in our journey. We want to share it with you so that you get turned on, tuned in, inspired to do more of this for yourself, to be responsible and saying yes to your own spiritual practice where you're guided by the divine with our help. So we show up because we love it. And New Thought Media Network is here as a technological concept through the airwaves, and that commands funding as well, the technology part of it. And so if you would like to keep the technology going and all of the beautiful things that New Thought Media Network does, then be a part of that conscious give financially to the network, so that you can say, yeah, I'm a part of this and I keep it going. And I know many listeners do, because many listeners really love what New Thought Media Network does and what it provides, which is amazing. Yes. So that is what I'm going to say about that. And I'm just going to say that next week on New Thought Media Network, we have a super guest. And I'm not going to tell you who it is because, it's Reverend Lisa Williams. She's coming on to New Thought Media Network, onto the Cosmic Prayer. She's already on New Thought Media Network with her beautiful show. I can't remember the name of her show. Living Inspired. Can't remember. Anyway, I will find out what the name of her show is. She's coming onto the Cosmic Prayer next week, next Monday, 5 p.m. UK, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So ignite your inner dazzle. That's it. I remembered. Her show is Ignite Your Inner Dazzle, and that's on New Thought Media Network. Join me here again on Wednesday for the silent meditation, 20 minutes. Oh, yeah. I know I've talked here for over an hour. That is silence. So you can join on Wednesday, and that's at 7 p.m. UK, which is 12 noon Mountain Time, here live on New Thought Media Network. Until then, love and blessings to you, and see you soon. Bye.